everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie B and I read a lot of books. For this year's Vlogmas I am doing videos throughout November and December because I have read a lot of books this year and I wanted to start the year fresh next year, so I thought let's try and get all the books that I have read this year out before the end of the year. That's basically the plan. Today's book is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. So there's the front cover. I read this book on BorrowBox, which is an app that's connected to my local library, which means that I get to read books for free on this app, and I didn't even have to pay anything to sign up. I just went into my local library, got my library card, got given a code so that I could go onto the app, and yeah, book lover's dream. Book lover's dream. So I am aware that this has been turned into a series and I have not watched it, though I am aware that the series changes the end of the book. So yeah, this is 240 pages in crime, thriller, mystery and young adult, and when it says young adult it means 13 plus. The fact that it's a young adult fiction and I'm 33, how old am I? Yeah, so I'll read the blurb and then I'll tell you what I thought. Yale hopeful Bronwyn has never publicly broken a rule. Sports star Cooper only knows what he's doing in the baseball diamond. Bad body Nate is one misstep away from a life of crime. Prom queen Addie is holding together the cracks in her perfect life. And outsider Simon, creator of the notorious gossip app at Bayview High, won't ever talk about any of them again. He dies 24 hours before he could post their deepest secrets online. Investigators conclude it's no accident, all of them are suspects. Everyone has secrets, right? What really matters is how far you'll go to protect them. This is book one. The next one is called One of Us is Next, so I will reserve that. Done. Yeah, I enjoyed this book. It's very teenage, it's very high school. It made me aware that I don't really read these kind of teen books very often, and it must have been a while since I've read one like this because I did find it quite cheesy at times, and I was just there thinking, oh, this is so very high school. You've got Bronwyn, Cooper, Nate, Addie and Simon. They are all put in detention at the beginning of the book. Bronwyn, Cooper, Nate and Addie. Basically they are found with phones by a teacher who has a big thing against having phones in class. The thing is though, the phones that are found do not belong to Bronwyn, Cooper, Nate and Addie. They all believe they have been framed to get into detention because they all know that that teacher would have confiscated their phones, and so they just left their phones in lockers for that lesson. So when they are caught with phones, all of them are just like, that's not even my phone. After the detention is over, the teacher realises, oh, maybe it wasn't, because none of them have come to claim the phones. But yeah, so they're all under the presumption that they were framed to put in detention, leading up to what happens to Simon. Basically, while they were all in detention, Simon goes into anaphylactic shock after drinking a cup of water, which they later find out was laced with peanut oil. Simon is extremely allergic to peanuts, and when it is discovered that there was peanut oil in the cup, that is when the police decide that somebody in the room must have done something to Simon. The chapters are broken up into the different people involved, so you got Bronwyn, Cooper, Nate and Addie, and you soon find out that somebody has access to the app that Simon was running, which, as it says in the word, it's a gossip app. Got the element of kind of Gossip Girl to it, with the fact that Simon is in charge of this app just to gossip about everybody, but the thing is, everybody knows that Simon is behind it. But the people involved in the detention, and who everybody thinks has something to do with Simon's death, they weren't really on the app that much. They weren't gossiped about as much as some other people. Bronwyn especially, because as it says in the blurb, she's never publicly broken a rule. Throughout the book you find out the secrets that they were hiding, and because somebody else has somehow managed to gain access to the app, I say they've gained access to the app, there's a Tumblr site connected to the app where somebody starts posting on the Tumblr site regarding the gossip, at the school. What's quite significant about what happens in that detention is the fact that there is an accident outside while they are in detention, and it comes a point when people are wondering if maybe the accident was staged in order to frame them for Simon's death. As it was coming to its conclusion and you figure out kind of what actually happened in that schoolroom while they were all in detention, I was in a bit of a moment of why did I not think of that? Because it's very much of somebody who was in the room, and when I think of murder mysteries, because if you've ever watched anything like Jonathan Creek, I think Jonathan Creek is more famous for doing this than other ones that I've watched. There are so many episodes of Jonathan Creek which involve somebody dying in a locked room, and it's the idea of either there's a secret door to get out or the murderer never left. I feel like that idea works into One of Us is Lying, because it comes to the point when you just like, it had to have been somebody in the room. So, who was in the room? Bronwyn, Cooper, Nate, Addie and Simon. Straight away, everybody goes to Bronwyn, Cooper, Nate and Addie. The teacher was also in the room but left the room before Simon died. I am not saying that the teacher did it, but I will say that did cross my mind at one point. So it was 240 pages, so it didn't take me that long to read it. I read this while I was on holiday, and I think it only took me a couple of days to read it. I was reading it in the evenings to kind of wind down. If you haven't watched my videos before this, I went to Disney World in October, and I read 2.5 books while I was away. Even though it's got that cheesy high school element to it, and obviously I don't really relate to that anymore. I probably would have related more to it when I was at school, but it didn't change the fact that I did enjoy it, and even though I know the first series doesn't actually line up with the first book, I'm still intrigued to watch it to see how it goes. You see how this group of kids are brought together from what's happened. There's an element of kind of PTSD because they were all in the room and watched this kid die. They kind of stood watching it happen. And it was, I think only one person in the room knew what was happening. Only one person in the room realised that Simon was going into anaphylaxis. And I think that was Nate, the bad boy. Yeah, I think it was Nate. And he's the one that says, where's his EpiPen? They can't find the EpiPen. And so he sends Bronwyn to the nurse's office to get an EpiPen. When Bronwyn is there, she can't find any EpiPens. And because she left the room and there was nobody with her in the nurse's office, she's accused of hiding the EpiPens, even though the book does actually take you with her when she goes off to find one. Because she is in the room looking for EpiPens for maybe a minute or so before the teacher turns up, and they're just like, there's no EpiPens here, and then they go into calling 911. But yeah, just seeing how this group of people is brought together by this event, and the friendships that are made, because it does feel like it's very kind of bringing them together, because at first you realise that these people aren't all friends before this. They are a group of people that have been thrown together for a reason. It's obvious that somebody is trying to frame them. When it says one of us is lying, it actually implies the fact that they all are lying because they have all got a secret to hide, and then that comes out when somebody accesses the Tumblr account. And then the police are able to access the app, and they find out that there were some drafts that were never published that had to do with all 4 of the people in detention. You also look at Simon's girlfriend, and I think it's Addie that has a bit of a friendship with Simon's girlfriend. But Simon's girlfriend becomes a bit of a recluse afterwards. I mean, she already was a bit, but she goes very much into herself, gets very depressed, gets very thin, and the girls are trying to look out for her a little bit, and they're just like, even though we didn't like Simon, she doesn't have anything to do with this. Hold that thought. Let's just say that Simon's girlfriend knew what Simon was up to. I'm not going to spoil it. I will say though, even though I haven't watched the series, I have heard about it and I've read some things about it, and I know that the series does divert from the plot of the book slightly, especially when it comes to the reveal about who did it and things. Ultimately, it did make me think of Jonathan Creek with the idea of either somebody managed to get into the room and out, like the locked room scenario, or the murderer was in the room the whole time. So, yeah. I just had Jonathan Creek in the back of my mind following Simon's death and thinking it had to have been somebody in the room or somebody that came into the room at some point. One of us is lying. Karen M. McManus. I don't really know how much I really talked about that. Ultimately, it's a good book. You've got that murder mystery in there, which is one of my favourite things to read. I love a good murder mystery. I love the challenge of it and trying to work out the hints and things. And it would be interesting to reread this actually now I know what the ending is and look at what little hints they might have thrown in towards the beginning about the state of mind of the persons involved. So, One of Us is Lying, Karen M. McManus. If you have read this book or seen the series, let me know. I'd love to hear what other people's thoughts are. If you do have any book recommendations, pop them in the comments. I have gotten advice on books that way before, and it's actually quite nice when I hear that people have, because there was one book in particular that I read where I got quite a few comments from people saying this really helped me when I was studying this book, it helped me with the presentation, and it's just like, I'm glad that it helps, because the fact is, I am not spoiling these books, but if it helps you to understand something you've read, that makes me feel really good to know that I have helped people to learn something about the book that they are reading. It was the video that I did about the book Skellig, which I did have a few comments on that video where people saying, we've been studying this at school, I've read the book, this video really helped me to understand some of the themes and things, and the fact that they got good grades after that as well. It is nice to know that the videos might be helping people. I like to think that my videos are quite eclectic. I do have quite an eclectic taste in books. Obviously, even though murder mysteries are kind of my preferred book, I do read young adult, I read fantasy, I've got like medical mysteries in there, I've got some horrors which I've been reading. I wouldn't used to be a big horror fan. I think the first horror book I ever read was Stephen King's Misery after I saw the play, and so I did it completely in the wrong order. I saw a play of it at Harrogate Theatre when I was a teenager, and then my dad told me he had the book, so I then read the book, and then I think the film was on TV like the following day, so I did all three in completely the wrong order within about 3 days of each other. It was quite impressive. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I have been uploading videos every single day through Vlogmas. Yeah, if you haven't already watched them, go back to the beginning of the playlist in November, and every single Wednesday, which is my regular upload day, I have not been uploading book reviews. I've been uploading something a bit different, just to kind of keep everybody on their toes. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Mwah. Stay safe, everybody. And Outsider Simon, creator of the... Why can't I say Notorious? What am I doing? I can't. Blech.